All right. Well, let's see if I can minimize this. Got some technical difficulties. Going to add my friend Bill in and try and figure this out. This is what happens when you go live without thinking about things. Boy, I'm really messing it up. Hey, everybody. Kirk and Bill with the Kirk and Bill Show. And we got together and talked about what we could do today to just bring up what's going on in our city here in St. Croix Falls and around Polk County. And we thought it would be fun to recap what happened. And so I just want to welcome anybody who might be tuning in. We have 5 live viewers. Feel free to leave questions or comments, and we will include them as part of the show. But welcome to the Kirk and Bill Show. Bill, what do you got for us today?
Well, yeah, I just want to welcome everyone in today. And I don't know, man, did anything happen last night? I'm trying to think. I should put a picture of my youngest daughter was grabbing at my shirt as I was refreshing my phone, waiting for election results to come in. But for those of you that haven't heard, our good friend Kirk Anderson is the mayor-elect of St. Croix Falls. So congratulations, Kirk.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you.
I'm proud of the campaign. I'm proud of the campaign you run and the work that you've done. So I'll turn the floor over to you for a little bit here to say what you want to say about your 73% victory last night.
Right on. We had one person that Casey said there was no audio, and so I just want to make sure if you type in the comments and let us know if there is audio, just so that we're making sure that I don't have to adjust something. But yeah, we had a great. Give me a thumbs up if there's audio. We had a great election last night. As you know, the election on April 7th kind of was a question mark for a while. We didn't know if it was going to be postponed. And, back on April 6th, we got notification that Governor Evers basically said, we're not going to do the election until into June, the 9th of June. And it was a scary deal for me because not only had I implemented all the plans for the night before election so people would get out and vote, but the idea of another month and a half of campaigning was exhausting. And
Right.
so I was hoping that it would go through. And luckily the Supreme Court stepped in and made some quick adjustments, and we were able to move forward with the election. Now, I had some people reach out to me that were frustrated by the election process, and certainly it was a very frustrating election process, and something that should never have occurred the way that it did. And
Right.
hopefully, we've learned some things from what happened that day. And
Maybe we could proactively get out in front of this. And I mean, I think I said it last time, I could probably think of a dozen ways without affecting changing the date that we could have done this smarter. I mean, it
right,
really is kind of frustrating. And I think that some of that has to do with the political climate that we're in right now.
yeah,
If one side says something, it's bad. The other side said something, it's bad. And, it just is frustrating. It's like, let's get our heads together on this and make sure that's safe for everybody. But at the same time, we got to vote. I mean, you can't,
yeah.
you,
This is
you, you
America. We
have, you
live
have
and
to
die
conduct
by
elections,
the
right?
vote. So
We are not we do not have authoritarian rule either at the national level or at the state level.
right, yeah. No, it was a very good turnout. We had over 600 voters in our city, and it was 634 voters. And in a spring election, that's a pretty good number. We
Yeah.
have, I think, 1,200 plus registered voters, and we normally in a spring election we don't get that high of a vote tally, but it was a primary for president, and so we saw an additional amount of people that probably came out for
Yeah.
that. There was also a school referendum,
Correct.
and some significant races that were on there for just the municipality. So I think people came out and made a point to do it, and it ended up where I was successful, and put out a video yesterday on my Facebook page, just saying thanks to everybody and asking for people to continue to put that support out there, because we're in a
Yeah.
tough time right now in the economic climate. We have this pandemic we got to get through, and then we need to start looking at how we can rebuild the economy in our city and in our state, and that's going to be hopefully my hope is that when we lift um, this pandemic, stay at home order, that the economy is going to love it and we're going to just see it rebound. But that doesn't mean that individual businesses and business owners and employees aren't going to be affected. And that's
Right.
something that we're going to have to really work to support.
No,
So
a lot of businesses definitely taking it in the teeth right now. And, every week that kind of goes on that oh yeah, Kirk and Bill show brought to you by Three Arrows right there.
yeah,
Three
I
Arrows
went to
Coffee Company.
I got my 3 arrows. Yep. Delicious coffee, by the
Perfect.
way.
It absolutely is. But anyway, so let's recap St. Croix Falls. So Mayor-elect Kirk Anderson is on with us right now. Joe Snyder won District 1 alderperson race.
That was
So
my
we had
old district. Yeah.
your old district had 2 write-ins,
Yeah.
which is kind of a unique situation. And I think between the absentee ballots and the write-ins, that's what some of the delay in the city of St. Croix Falls was. But Joe Snyder, he's going to be the new alderperson for District 1. And Craig Lean, someone that we both know well, and he serves on the board of the Falls Chamber of Commerce with me, is going to be alderperson for District 2. So congratulations to you guys. You're moving from alderperson to mayor, and Craig currently is serving as kind of a replacement interim, but Joe will be new. So there's a whole new kind of a new feeling, a new vibe.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the interim city administrator was elected. Does Osceola have trustees or alder people? I don't know what they have.
They have like supervisors maybe, or is it
supervisors?
trustees?
Whatever it is, and
He's in the
Osceola
village.
he got elected.
Yeah.
So he's Joel West. It's just interesting in small towns how you kind of get different pieces moving around. But that's it's outstanding. It's exciting. It's not easy to run for office. So Mayor Carlson, outgoing mayor, he's served for a lot of years. I know you in your talk last night you thanked him, but Jimmy Allen's been very active in his campaign, and Ken Cotier as well, serving in a lot of places. It's not easy to put yourself out there, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot more fun to win than it is to lose. So
it is. Yeah, I mentioned
thanks
that.
to those guys for staying out there, and trying.
Yeah, my congratulations was to, of course, the people who did get the votes to win, and I also thank the people who ran. And there's a lot of stress that goes into putting yourself on a ballot and asking people to entrust you with their vote, and you get a lot of criticism, you get a lot of questions, and so anybody willing to do that deserves thanks, because they really do. Take it in the teeth, so to speak. So my appreciation is to them for their willingness to serve. And the mayor did. He put a lot of effort into many years of service, and he did a lot of great things. We didn't always agree on everything, but I count him as a person that I do enjoy sitting next to up there, and we had a lot of fun, and I wish we could have agreed more, but that's politics. So moving forward, we will continue to look for ways to build the city up and move it forward. And I'm really excited about the opportunities to do that. Craig Lean is, for those of you who don't know where District 1 and District 2 kind of divide, if you know the city, there's Louisiana, which is the big hill in town, and everything north of Louisiana, with some exceptions on some of the streets down by Main Street. Basically, that's District 1 and to the fairgrounds. And then everything south and parts of that area down on Main Street generally are District 2. And Craig Lean is in District 2. There was a vacancy on the board with Joy stepping down early. And so Craig stepped into her position. And that was because he was the only person on the ballot that filed to run. And if there were two people, then we wouldn't have appointed someone, but we wanted to fill that space. So he's been filling that space for a little more than a month now, and he won he won very
235 votes to 24 votes.
yeah.
So there was a small write-in campaign that was mounted against him. But so exciting times in St. Croix Falls. Kind of the other big news coming out of St. Croix Falls and Osceola, both school districts passed referendums.
Right.
And the St. Croix Falls School District, I believe, and I'm going off the top of my head, it's to spend up to $14 million. It is for a performance auditorium, 580, 590 seat auditorium, which will be an awesome addition to the school. It'll be an enhanced weight room and workout area, which is desperately needed, and an expansion of the bus garage so they can actually wash the buses inside and store a few more of them inside during the year. So that vote was actually quite tight. I think it was, 100 or it was definitely under 200 votes, 150 votes, something like that, separating, a little over 1,000 and change to 900 and change. So that was tighter than your 73-27 win for sure. But Osceola looked like they passed theirs on a 2-1 margin, and they've had quite a few. I don't know, they had two in a row that didn't get passed down there. So it's always kind of an interesting. Yeah, it's always kind of an interesting. April elections are interesting in Wisconsin because you had a referendum, you had a statewide Supreme Court case. While it isn't technically a Republican Democrat thing, it is a Republican Democrat thing, kind of a conservative liberal thing. So you have that statewide. You had the Democratic primary, which was competitive. Well, I guess it was competitive. When did Sanders drop out? I don't know if it was after, but it was competitive-ish leading up to it, where the Republican wasn't. Trump was, no one's running against Trump. So to see what kind of vote came out, I follow some of these crazy political guys on Twitter, and they were pretty sure as soon as they saw where the results were coming in that the more liberal justice was going to win the court seat for the state of Wisconsin. And it's just fascinating. Where my wife is from, Racine, Wisconsin. You want to talk about referendums? They had $1 billion with a B, $1 billion school referendum.
Oh wow! Holy smokes!
Billion with the B, and it passed by
rebuilding all
five votes was the margin.
Goodness. Wow!
So I'm guessing that'll get recounted, but
wow.
I was texting with my in-laws. $1 billion with the B.
We had a question from Jeremy Hall, and he asked how the referendum will actually affect property taxes, and then another comment.
I actually have an answer for that.
Yeah, for Mark Gilker said $55 per 100,000.
Per 100,000.
And so I'm interested to know your answer, because I've got some questions about that too, based on some conversations I've had. But what do you know about that?
That is the number that was given to us, and that is not an ambitious number. Depending upon when the bonding actually happens, because the interest rates are so ridiculously low right now, it may actually be a touch less than that. But that is the blend over 20 years. That there's some things that will drop off, but the financial company takes everything into account. And that's the effect that it'll have. So it'll be roughly $55 per 100,000 of value over 20 years.
Do you know if that took into account the settlement from Menards and the property reduction that came in because of that? They reduced their property value, and there was some question of if that number was completely accurate or if it would change at all. And we do have a potential settlement or something with Walmart going forward as well, which will change some things too. So those are questions that the city's going to be working through, and I'm sure the school will have to work through the new numbers as well. I'm not exactly sure how that will work, but it will affect our taxes. We're going to, depending upon how much house you have, you'll see $55 per 100,000 estimate
Correct.
on your house. So that's going to be coming. And I'm excited about the fact that we're going to see some movement there, some new construction, and some good things for the school.
And I know people don't ever like to vote to raise their own taxes. I personally don't like to vote to raise my own taxes. I supported the referendum. I made no bones about it. I understand why people support it. I understand why people don't support it. And at the end of the day, it is. And I know that it's a difficult thing if you're on a fixed income. Particularly, it's real hard. And I'll be honest that there was even some thoughts that, there was a big push going forward, and then this pandemic hit, and it's like, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
Do we continue to try and push it forward, or well, what do you do? So it's another way that this COVID-19 just makes things.
Were you
so
surprised that the referendum passed because of the pandemic and because of the economic,
Yeah, I am. I was more surprised at the margin that Osceola's passed. I guess I wasn't. I expected it to be close, and I think the whole time when you're asking voters in a small district to approve $14 million, that's not an insignificant ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a fair amount of money. So I expected it to be close. I think everyone that was for the referendum expected it to be close, and it was tight. I mean, it wasn't it was not a huge margin. So,
right.
And I think some of that had to do with just the uncertainty that everybody's feeling right now. I mean, I know I'm a little uncertain, but I was more surprised Osceola passing on a 2-1 margin because they had so many issues previously, but it's weird how these things shake out. Sometimes voters get fatigued too,
Mm-hmm.
You get asked the third time and they just fine. I don't know.
Yeah. And, referendums are tough anyway, because there's always a question of what is a need and what is a want. And
Correct.
I think Osceola had a number of things that they were very adamant were needs. And so at some point, just like with the school, the St. Croix Falls referendum, when they were going to replace and fix things that were broken,
right.
A lot of people were very supportive of that because, hey,
right.
we're fixing actual, HVAC,
right? The deferred maintenance. It was very easy to say these are the 6-7 projects or whatever it was that they were doing.
Right.
And actually, full disclosure, I'm a coach, so have coached football, coach track. And let me tell you, if the governor is listening, I would love to coach track yet this year, even if it's for a very small amount of time. I doubt he is, but I would love to have just a small season. I've coached, this will be my 4th year, so I have a set of seniors that are kind of special to me that I'd like to at least coach them a couple times before we send them off into the world. And I really am hoping that school, at least, first of all, I hope that this virus just kind of fizzles out. There looks like there's some flattening of the curve. I think both
mm-hmm.
Governor of Minnesota has used it. Governor Cuomo of New York has used, I think, Dr. Fauci, he said that some of this is working. Maybe, sooner rather than later, no one ever putting a timestamp on that, we can lift some of these restrictions. But if it's deemed safe, man, I would love to see the kids get back into school. We're trying to do a Zoom with our track team tomorrow at 3:00.
It's probably not quite the same.
No, it's not. And we're sending workouts, but it's just really bizarre. I wanted to mention this too. Another kind of interesting thing for local folks is that Coach Clark, Dan Clark, the longtime wrestling coach, and Coach Grandpa Lil, as well as Pastor Chris Folkstad and Pastor Charles. What's his last name?
Boy, don't put me on the spot. They just started.
He's the new youth pastor.
I've only met him once
Lions
since
Church.
the pandemic,
Okay.
But I'm going to pull that up and
right,
throw it on.
Yeah, right. But anyway, the 4 of them somehow, I think maybe Chris Folkstad got through to Kirk Cousins, and they're going to do a Zoom talk with him about some of the adversity that he's had. And the 4 of those are going to be on that call, and they're going to be streaming that, I think, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Or Thursday night. It's Tuesday. Days are hard to believe, but some of the days are blending together for me right now. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that.
Yeah, you can go to the Alliance Church of the Valley's website, and you can You can sign up for a live interactive meeting with Kirk Cousins. He's going to share some things about what he's gone through and some
Right.
exciting and difficult times that he's gone through and how he's overcome it. And I think that's going to be real encouraging for the football team and for other sports fans. It's open to anybody. And so, feel free to sign up. You can find that on their Facebook page. And I believe Dan Clark got this going. I don't know how he got connected with the Vikings, but I'm assuming it's a connection he had. And Kirk Cousins is
Whoever
definitely
got it going, that's awesome, and
right.
thank you so much. Those of you that are from St. Croix Falls or from this area know there's just been a lot of tragedy that especially the kids in the community have gone through over the last year, and then you throw this pandemic on top of it, and
Yep.
it wouldn't be bad to hear about other people that have overcome adversity because it gets difficult sometimes.
Well,
A
let's.
couple questions I see up here, and one of them I can answer is there a private developer still interested in downtown? And I can unequivocally say yes, that there is a private developer that is interested in moving the Civic Auditorium project forward, and we're hopefully he's negotiating with the city, and COVID business kind of slowed it down, but hopefully that he will be able to we'll be able to make progress on that soon. I know you can't really talk about it, but I can because I talk to him often, and maybe when we get a little further down the road, he expressed interest in coming on to the show, because who knows when we can get back together. He said he'd love to show his vision,
Yeah.
and if we have an outlet to do it, I thought, what the heck.
Yeah, I think that's great, and we'll be definitely working through that process. Um, so I just got a text from Chris Folkstead, and he said that he is the contact for the Vikings. So I'm going to give him creds that apparently he's in with some bigwigs at the Vikings. So, way to go! Thanks, Chris, for putting that together. That'd be great. Um, yeah, no, anything downtown that we can get together and work through this economy and just having a vision for our town in general, whether it's on the top of the hill or downtown. We're going to do everything that we can to make St. Croix Falls an awesome place where people are going to want to come spend money, build a
Right.
house, or live here and develop businesses here. And that's going to be a huge focus for what I do as mayor. And I'm looking to work with individuals and business owners and people in the community. This has got to be a collaborative effort. And in the video I shared yesterday, I really made it clear that this is a different election win than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to come in and I had a couple issues. Well, we're coming in on like an economic downturn that could
Right.
last for a long time,
Right.
potentially a recession that could last for a long time. We're talking about people who are now not just worried about whether or not they make enough money. They're worried about if they can pay their taxes at all because maybe they've lost their
Right.
job or maybe they're concerned about other things. So it
It is.
is. It is a major. I think you flipped your camera around. It's
Whoops.
it's a major concern, and so we are in a different place, in a different time than I thought we would be in, and it's all hands on deck now. And so I hope that all the individuals who voted for me, thank you for your votes. But
Yeah.
I'm looking for people that are willing to serve on committees, willing to be advisors, willing to put some skin in the game.
Did I freeze us?
You're freezing a little
I'm looking
bit.
at us on I'm looking at us on Facebook, and we look frozen.
Your your daughter's maybe down downstairs watching Netflix or something. So
Yeah.
a couple more questions. Jim Kelly says, "When does your mayoral term start?" So I've got the answer to that, and it's kind of dependent on when I get sworn in. But the election is certified as of Friday at the end of the day, and at that point I can get sworn in. And so I've tentatively scheduled a swearing in for Monday, which will be unfortunately a private thing. I'm going to videotape that, and then I will release that afterwards with some comments and things like that, just as a means of letting people watch that. Typically, we would do that at one of the meetings, the annual meeting, which would have been next Tuesday. But of course,
Right.
with the pandemic, we're not doing
How long did you guys push live meetings out?
the
Is it
27th, and we'll see
okay?
if the governor changes his mind on
Right.
any of that. So as of next Monday, I should be able to be sworn in officially,
Right.
and I've got some things that I have to do ahead of that, but essentially it'll be Monday. So we're looking forward to that. And officially,
So
I
let me
couldn't do it until Saturday anyway, I guess, so or
right.
Friday night.
Well, let me ask you this. In this era of social distancing, my assumption is even if we do get opened up, or the safer at home order doesn't continue on, I'm guessing there's still going to be social distancing recommendations for a period of time. Can our city council, or can other city councils, is there a virtual option that you actually could run a meeting and not have to have them canceled? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
eventually business has to continue on, right? I mean, eventually you have to approve claims, you have to do all this stuff, or is that happening already? Like,
We've
how?
done we've done two meetings virtually. They both had some technical difficulties. It's a learning curve. We use Zoom, and the last one was a closed session, so you have to
Right.
go into open session, then go into closed session, then come back into open session. And to do that is a little tricky because our open session is actually streamed on Facebook at this point. Um, that's kind of an emergency ability to do that.
Right.
I talked with our city clerk, and apparently there's archival. You have to
Right.
archive everything for a certain amount of years, and it's very cumbersome and can be kind of expensive. So we're trying to work through those details, but we can do Zoom meetings, and we have. If we don't have to go into a closed session and have a private meeting, it's much easier than if we just stream live and do what we're doing right now using Zoom. So we have that ability. Moving forward after the 27th, I would imagine that there is probably going to be group size. We can fit
Right.
50 people in a room, but right now we're not supposed to have more than 10 or more than 5 or something like that.
Yeah,
So
you'll spread people out like the
right.
stuff you see on TV with the governors or whatever.
So if we're going
Seems
to
at the
do
federal level, they don't. You watch the presidential press conferences or briefings, and they're all like touching each other. I'm kind
yeah,
of
they're
wondering
right on
what's up
top of
with
each
that.
other. It's a little
The
crazy.
state, it's like they're like 50 feet apart on this huge table, and the reporters are like single chairs, sitting
Right.
way out. It's kind of crazy. Just another thing where you go, what is going on with the time
Well,
that we
and
live right now? It's crazy, man.
nobody up at the podium wears masks, and all the media says, why aren't you wearing a mask? And then they turn the camera around, and not one of the media has a mask on either. So it's pretty funny. We'll head to another question here. Chris Folkstead said Thursday night at 7 p.m. is that broadcast, and so go to
Yep.
the Alliance Church of the Valley's website, and you can sign up for that. Did we hear back from HGTV? We have not heard back from HGTV, and I don't know if they've put out those.
So that's not a no.
It's not a no.
It's not a no.
But I will say we were one of many
I'm sure.
places that did put that out there, and but there's always
The reality
potential.
is, I'm also assuming that all production on all those shows is shut down right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not moving anything forward. Like, all of Hollywood is shut down, movies are shut down. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that is just, has seized up.
I would imagine that pretty much it's going to be reruns this season on a lot of shows. And so that's just the reality of not being able to be in close contact with different people. So any other questions, feel free to put in the comments below. We're talking about the election results and what's going on in our city and around the county and whatnot. Bill, any updates on business things that you've seen in regards to the loans we've talked about? Are those still
I can give you a quick update. Yep, a quick
enrollment?
update. So the PPP, I now know that people have been approved and they have been funded on those. So if you were contemplating and haven't work with your bank and have them put in your application. If you can get up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll, and it can be a forgivable loan if you use that money over an 8-week period for payroll or rent or utilities is the three things that you can use it for. So I know people have received that. Some businesses have, and they're working through it. The EIDL loan, I do not know anyone that has been funded by that, but I know people that have received emails back saying, after like 7 weeks, we received your application. They changed that, though. They were going to do like up to a $10,000 grant that was forgivable. Now it is $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. So if you only have 5 employees at your business, depending upon what you do, you may only get $5,000, and that could be forgivable as well.
Okay.
Again, you can apply for both of those loans if you want. You just can't count the same expenses on them. So you would use the PPP up first, and then you would use the EIDL money after that. There is another stimulus package being worked on. The details that are coming out of that are crazy, and who knows what actually is going to get worked out. But there's quite a bit. The state is in session right now.
Yep.
And I believe they're either voting today or tomorrow. Both chambers will vote and send some sort of package to the governor, and that will be a lot around probably unemployment. I've heard that it is not slick to go onto the state website right now and try and get unemployment. You have to wait a week. So I'm thinking they're probably going to follow suit like the rest of the states. They'll probably waive the first week. You don't have a waiting period. They probably won't have to look for a job. And they also need to figure out how to get that extra $600 that the federal government will tack on per week. The max benefit in Wisconsin is somewhere, I don't know exactly, it's $350, $360 a week. So then if you put that $600 from the federal government onto it, I think the max benefit will be around $950, $960.
Wow.
Is what unemployment will be, which the governor of Minnesota, Governor Walz, said, I know that's more than some people are making.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of a potential disincentive when things open back up, but they'll worry about that on the backside. Right now it's about people that have been laid off, again, through no fault of their own, and trying to make them whole, which is crazy.
So. Well, and I think people, are pretty antsy to get back to work. There's always going to be a segment of the population that will enjoy.
I'm antsy.
You're antsy. I've been at work, so call me essential or inessential, but I'm able to work. I haven't seen any clients, but my doors are locked. But I'm able to get to my office and produce work, and that's great to get away from my 5 kids at home, which are very hard to work. You are stuck at home, and so I don't know how your productivity is, but hopefully it's
not good.
But you're getting some good family time.
I try to look on the bright side of what we're doing, and to spend time with a 4, almost 5-year-old and an 18-month-old is frustrating, and it's also awesome. So right. It's I was trying to be positive as I was waking up this morning and having my first cup of coffee and trying to have a positive outlook on the day. And I thought to myself, there really has been no other time in recent history where I would have been able to do this. Just the demands of having a job, the demands of, even Joe's job has slowed down to a large extent. The hospital's elective surgeries are not being done anymore. So she's slower. She has more bandwidth. I have more bandwidth. And man, we're playing outside. I watched them play outside for an hour.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little frustrated with the weather here in northern Wisconsin. 60 degrees on Saturday, snow and cold, and hopefully it'll be 60 again by Saturday. But this week is just like a kick in the shins. On Easter, it's like, oh yeah.
What do we get for 4-6 inches or something?
Yeah, let's just watch this beautiful snowfall. What?
It was crazy. We walked our neighborhood in shorts. My daughter was wearing shorts. And I was wearing like a regular shirt, and then the next day, it literally dumped 4+ inches of snow on our yard. It was crazy.
Yeah, we went. They were sledding again this morning. There was just enough on. We have a little hill that has a north face on it, and there's still snow on it. So kids were out there sledding this morning.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, hopefully we'll start seeing some warmer weather and that kind of thing. We had a comment from Rayanne who said she had to wait 1 week, I'm assuming for unemployment, but that wasn't too hard to navigate. There will be some that don't want to go back to work right now. She's getting 26 weeks, and then she needs to get back. Can't wait to get back to work. I think a lot of
Boy,
people are there.
I hope no one. I hope no one is forced to be out for 26 weeks. That seems like a hard. I mean, I understand that there's circumstances, and I don't take a hard line on this because my motto during this has been grace and space for everybody. Like, give a lot of grace to people, give them space. Everybody's making it up as they go along, but it's hopefully what we're doing now mitigates the risk in the pain, of staying home, the pain of, the economic pain, that the unemployment, 17 million people unemployed, and who knows what it's going to be this week. Hopefully that saves enough lives, that knocks this thing down enough that we can get back to some semblance of normalcy. It certainly will flare up, and I'm sure things will get locked down, and it'll flare up, and things will get knocked down. But man, I would really, really enjoy it if we could get some baseball back on, even with some empty stands. I would enjoy football. I just read an article where college football is talking about, instead of like an August start, maybe like a February through May, just to give this thing more time and get testing better. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Well, don't get me going on the NCAA and paying student athletes and what a student athlete is, because it'll go off the tracks and people will get really bored. But the NCAA is pretty corrupt. That's just my 2 cents.
When we talked last time about kind of the trickle down effect of these big decisions, specifically with sports, when we talk about the hospitality industry and how even local bars right now they're closed down. If they're able to open up, but people don't go because they're not going to these sporting events and grabbing food beforehand or going to watch the game on the big screen TV. That's just a continued spiral where NFL doesn't get started on time, or the college sports don't get. A lot of downtown Minneapolis businesses are sweating that out right now.
No, it's just everything. But then, that's the people I feel were to bring this back to business just for a minute before we go. We've been going for a while, but
holy smokes, man!
The people that I feel the worst for are people in the hospitality industry. People that are in the restaurant, bar, hotel, resort. People that they haven't really done anything wrong. They're running good businesses, but just because there's this virus that gets in your lungs and does nasty things, that they're shut down and they can't work anymore, or they can't essentially run their business anymore. That's where my heart feels horrible. And then that does trickle out. It trickles out into everything. You think of all the ancillary services, like, you think of places that, like, I can think locally. So you think of like a copy shop or a computer shop or a marketing guy or business consultants, or, just all the ancillary services that go on with it. Here's another thing. So one of the, I think it's Quest Labs, I read, and I'll go back and post the article to our website, but they're one of the major labs. It's a private lab that runs COVID-19 tests, and they're doing as many of them as they can. Right. But because so many other procedures have been laid off, they're actually having to furlough staff.
Oh, isn't that
crazy? Because they don't have all the other tests coming through that need to be done. So they're like, while they're going crazy on COVID stuff, trying to test millions of people, eventually they're having to lay off. And that's just another, when you start to parcel it out, it's just this ancillary effect. It just goes crazy. And, you think about realtors and you just think about all these things that just, how do you sell a house? And I know houses are still selling amazingly, which is awesome, but
it's a technology, people are innovating. I've got clients that are innovating and looking at ways to sell online, and they never thought they wanted to sell online, but here they are. And I think that that'll be a great addition to their business plan. And realtors, they're going to have to get creative. So many
Right.
realtors are starting to do some live, fun, interactive
Yeah.
tours of their homes and answer questions right there because they can't get
And I
people
think
in
you
for a open
and let
house.
me and let me jump in on you right there. I think you hit a word fun. We've been serious for long enough. Like there's a lot of serious stuff going on. It's time to smile and have a little bit of fun again. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it's yes, this is serious. Yes, this is horrible, but you just can't live in this doom and gloom. We gotta smile.
yeah,
We
I
gotta do
agree.
things that are fun. We have to loosen up a little bit from just this heaviness that's coming down. Again, I'm thankful I live where I live. I have some space. I can walk around. If I lived if I lived in a large city, like I look at, like Seattle, I've seen things from Seattle or New York where they're cheering for the first responders or doing a cheer or singing, and they pan, and it's like, holy cow, all the high rises with all these
That's
people
pretty
that
neat.
literally can't go anywhere. It's first of all, it's super awesome. It's amazing, but man, it makes me glad that I live in what some people would consider the middle of nowhere.
Well, I'm thankful that we live in Wisconsin and that we have not had our governor hasn't done what Michigan's governor's doing. And now, granted, Detroit's a pretty rough area right now with the COVID
Yeah.
stuff, but
Yep.
she's
Yep.
literally shut down stores and said you can't sell non-essential things. And so, if you want to paint your house or you want to do any home projects, you can't go to Home Depot or Ace Hardware and buy those essential things. You can't buy furniture. You can't, and so I'm glad that
Right.
we haven't gotten to that point because, there's a lot of stuff that's getting done around our house and around houses around the area. And, so it's exciting. I'm glad we live where we're at. I'm glad we're going to see this come out soon. I want to encourage people to continue to look for ways to, pivot on your business. If you need help with that, contact Bill, contact me.
Yep.
We'd be happy to sit down with you at no cost just to do a 15-minute brainstorming
Yeah.
session of, let's spitball some things out there of things you could do right now to change your business and maybe keep it open or ways to finance it in the future using these loans or
Right.
creative ways to do that. And so that's a great. But anyway, we wanted to come on today just to have a lighthearted discussion about what's going on. We hit some questions, and I'm glad we were able to do that. There's a lot of really great things happening in St. Croix Falls and Osceola and
Yeah.
around us. And so even though we're in the midst of a pandemic, I hope everybody can sense that we're about to come out of it, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of hope that we have. So any final thoughts?
That's it. Be hopeful, smile, make the best of whatever situation you have in front of you. It might be there for a little while, it might be there for a long while, but the sun comes up tomorrow, and I would just encourage everyone, make it a great day and spread as much positivity as you can.
Amen. All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here. And we will hopefully, once Bill doesn't have, crazy schedules with his kids, we'll have like a schedule we can throw out there. And we're going to do this semi regularly. We're looking
Yeah.
forward to that. But right now, thanks for bearing with us as we just kind of
Yeah.
try and make it happen at 1:30. And today it was just kind of a exciting, hey, let's talk about some things. But we'll hopefully figure out a time that works for both of us and make this more regular and get some additional guests and things like that. So thanks for being a part of the show, everyone.
So
Thanks for all the congratulations on being the mayor. Don't forget that I'm going to come and ask for your support in other ways as well as we move forward into that future. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
all right.